make for an extremely entertaining series, more than a Leafs-Bruins rematch for the 8,000th time. But man, 5 games, and the Maple Leafs are out. I really didn't see that one coming at all. And tonight, when Nylander scored that goal to make it 2-2 with under 5 minutes left, I thought that was the push the Leafs were going to take and run with and push this to Game 6. But no, Nick Cousins, of all guys, is the one who breaks the back of the Toronto Maple Leafs here.
I didn't make it. And they won the series. They're going to third
I
round.
honestly think that major changes are
Who's
coming
going
to the
to
Maple
third
Leafs.
round?
I mean, whether it's in the front office with a guy like Dubas or a guy like Sheldon Keefe, and or guys who are playing for the team. And the two names that come to mind the most are William Nylander and Mitch Marner. And I know that those are two guys with mammoth contracts, that's so much money to move, and that's so hard to do in the modern NHL. But you can't help but think that those are two names that are very much in play right now. And it's something that a lot of people...
Let's see what's going on in the NHL.
Talking about since the Leafs went down 3-0, that unless they can pull off a miracle here, there's going to be a big blow-up with some big names, and those two are at the front of the line. And of course, there's other names on the chopping block, possibly as well, like TJ Brodie, who was awful in this series, and Mark Giordano, who, hey, I love him so much, but Father Time is definitely catching up with Gio. And that's not even the fact of mentioning that Austin Matthews is going to be a free agent relatively soon, and with, hey, look at the guy on the other side in Matthew Tkachuk, who fled for the U.S. first chance he got, and Johnny Gaudreau, like, we've talked about this before. Let those rumors fly. They're going to be everywhere now. Oh, Matthews to Arizona, Matthews to L.A., Matthews to here, like, it's going to be all over the place now, and, I mean, that part's going to be annoying, and hey, this offseason, something big.
The Matthews train. I'm gonna start calling it the Matthews trend. I think we're gonna have the celebrity Ottawa Senator bid for a little bit longer in popularity. Well, right after that, maybe even like 2 days after, there's gonna be talk of Austin Matthews going to Arizona or Vegas, or him going somewhere else like Calgary or Columbus or Arizona or Anaheim. I don't know. He could go to Florida, Tampa Bay. I bet the Rangers would try and recruit them since they're big lose. Yeah. I think in the second round, Austin Matthews kind of had like a dry spot. He didn't really score many goals. I think he might have scored like 1 or 2. But he wasn't like full on, we're going to win the game, Austin Matthews. He felt a little distracted, is what I'm saying. I think they're going to branch out, but they're going to give him a contract when they need to re-sign. I'm not the GM. I did do a Be a Pro series where I did trade him and then get him back. We had a fun series. We won the Stanley Cup in 2029. Yeah, 2029. If they keep Austin Matthews, get Backstrom, and get a lot of good players, they're going to be good. It's kind of hard doing that, you know? When you try and build up your team, you're not first like, oh, I'm going to trade Connor McDavid for JT JT Miller because they wouldn't take that. You have to trade someone else. At the same time, the value of your best player is much valuable to you than probably the other team. Unless it's Columbus.
Hey, or should I say multiple big things are coming for this Maple Leaf organization. They're not going to run it back again. I know they won a round. I know that was big for them, but they didn't build this team to win a playoff round, and they get spanked by an 8 seed. Kyle Dubas and the Shanna plan, they've been selling this thing for years. Hey, just give it some time. It's going to work out. It's going to work out. It's going to work out. How many times do we hear that for years? Now, something big is going to boil over here. And they've had enough cracks at the can here. It's been enough. And it's not like they saved anything up here. I mean, Kyle Dubas put all of his chips in this trade deadline. He went out and got so many different pieces here and still bounced in 5 by, I can't say it enough, an 8 seed who just squeaked into the playoffs because Chicago beat Pittsburgh on the last day of the regular season. And yet,
don't you even bring that up.
Bounced in 5 games. That's the real kicker here. Because, look, Florida beat...
Don't you even bring that up. I could stop watching you, Johnny Hockey.
Maybe the best regular season team of all time in the Boston Bruins. They were a really good team. It's just the fact that the Leafs showed minimal pushback in this series to be like, no, we're not going down easy here. We're going to make you work for it, and it's going to go long. We're not going to get embarrassed here. Nope, 5 games. Come on, Toronto. And hey, Leaf fans, are you scared for the new changes that are coming? Are you happy about it? Relieved? What are you feeling? Who's at the top of your list to get booted off of this Maple Leaf team? I know Mitch Marner's going to be up there for a lot of people. Nylander, I mean, he's Curry favor, but still might be.
Any more videos? Oh. Next man up. He doesn't.
Last night's Game 4 matchup of this Edmonton-Vegas series, things got pretty testy near the end. Up 4-1 and with the net empty, Draisaitl tried to put a bow on it with an empty netter, when Pietrangelo came down and two-hand slashed him. And I haven't seen a slash like this in a while. Over the head and comes down on him, and I would say this is pretty clear intent to injure. The puck isn't anywhere near Draisaitl by this point, and regardless, it's just not even remotely a hockey play. There is no place in the NHL for this. But with that said, I do want to look at how he got here, because I feel like the refs and the NHL in general have to take some responsibility. We all like good, hard-fought playoff games with the inevitable chippiness that comes along with them. It's part of what makes the playoffs as incredible as they are, and that's great. But, of course, there is a line you cannot cross, and it needs to be punished when it is crossed. The problem is that line feels awfully blurry these days. If we even go to just the last game of this series, at the end of the first period in that game, there was a late period face-off, and considering the time left, Draisaitl, for example, was already skating off. The players had clearly let their guards down and were ready to just let the time expire. When Kane, out of nowhere, makes a beeline towards Pietrangelo and then cross-checks him up high, right in the throat. And this is also not a hockey play. You factor in the time of the period, there's just no...
I feel like that should be either interference or what is it called? I forget what it's called.
For this at all. And while Kane did get a 2-minute minor, he didn't get a hearing, a fine, nothing further. And I'm not saying he should have been suspended necessarily, but you kind of think this is something the league would take a stance against. At least a fine. I don't know. But with this and and the various other examples from these playoffs so far, I can
I should
understand some
start having,
frustration,
like,
and at some point,
choking.
players are going to just take matters into their own hands if the league will not. So you take that shot from that game against Pietrangelo, which I think started a lot of this, plus all of the punishment throughout the series he's taken, and then this was again from Kane that saw Pietrangelo going into the boards head first just minutes before the end of the game. Pietrangelo was slowly boiling and finally boiled over. And again, let me be very clear here. Regardless of anything that happened, I do not think this is a hockey play. I do think this is inexcusable, and in general, it's just not okay. All I'm trying to say is if the NHL would just manage these games a little tighter and actually call a penalty when it's a penalty, punish non-hockey plays, it might stop some of this from boiling over. But with that said, this is as good of time as any to start. So I'll ask you guys, will the NHL do the right thing here and suspend Pietrangelo for this? As of the making of this video, he does officially have a hearing, so I guess we'll see. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below, guys. I'm sure I'll get plenty of people disagreeing with me on this one, but it is what it is. As always, thank you guys so much for